with retired Judge Peter Herbert from London. He was the lead counsel at the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda. Thank you so much for being with us on the program. Before we get into the details of the charges that Maduro faces, I want to get your thoughts on the way that this operation was conducted. There's clearly a lot of opposition to what Trump has done, particularly within the Congress. Schumer being one of the latest members to voice his opposition, saying you don't treat lawlessness with lawlessness.
Well, alleged lawlessness, because in actual fact, the context of this is it was touted as being on behalf of the American people. America first is the mantra for Trump, on the basis that Venezuela somehow was part and parcel of the drug war that was importing drugs to the US. This is a nonsense, because in fact Trump himself pardoned a major drug cartel former president of Honduras, who was trafficking millions of pounds of drugs to America. It is about oil. It's about the Monroe Doctrine, which says that anything in the Americas that the US government will dictate by force. And if that involves breaching international law, which they clearly have, then they will do it. And just to be absolutely clear, you cannot go to another country unilaterally and kidnap, bomb a president, no matter how disagreeable you find they may be. And if the reverse was true, then surely somebody could go to America and kidnap Trump if they liked, bring criminal charges against him, and nobody would do anything. And clearly that's not going to happen. So this is a serious breach of international law, but also a failure to recognize the sanctity of American democracy, whereby if you have an act of war, generally you invoke the power of Congress and the Senate to do so. He has done nothing of the sort.
We don't know what the ramifications of these actions will look like. Time will, of course, tell, but there are several scenarios, one that potentially includes violence in the country. Where does the concept of accountability stand when it comes to the United States?
Well, he has what's called in international law command responsibility. He regularly says he's the commander of the American armed forces, and therefore the violence has already occurred. He's killed in his name, or in the name of America, several Venezuelans, Colombian nationals on fishing boats, allegedly, not produced one shred of evidence. And therefore, the people who have already been died, made homeless through the violence of the explosions and the bomb attacks on an independent sovereign state, Venezuela, he is directly responsible as the commander-in-chief of the American armed forces. So in a sense, you do not lead with one alleged illegality by impacting another on a sovereign nation.
And talk to us a bit about the indictments that Maduro and, of course, his wife now face. How will their cases be treated, and what rights do they have at this point?
Well, they should have had the right not to be kidnapped. I mean, that's the starting point of all this. If this was an American citizen and they'd been arrested without a warrant on the basis of suspected illegal activity, and any evidence, or they had been seized through a breach of American law, they would not be tried in the first place. These would be preliminary points where they'd be entitled to be acquitted. And it remains to be seen whether the American jury system can actually withstand the kidnapping of another sovereign. Apparently in 1989, it allowed the kidnapping of the president of Panama on drugs charges and convicted him. So there is some precedent for saying that American law will turn a blind eye to illegality conducted on behalf of the American government. So the precedent is not great, but the ramifications politically are Trump has already said he's going to control Venezuela from Washington. He's going to control, he says, 30% of the world's oil reserves, which are Venezuelan, about 20% of the world's gold reserves, And make no mistake about it, this is what a thief and an unlawful president is seeking to do. It is not about drugs. It's not about the American people or any attack on their sovereignty or on their lives or destiny. It's simply a land grabbing and resource grabbing expedition, the like of which has not been seen in US even circles for many decades.
Right, and many people, including thousands of Venezuelans, share the same view as you as we're looking at these live pictures coming out of Caracas to us, where hundreds of people have taken to these streets voicing their opposition against the actions of the United States, and they are calling for the return of their president, Nicolas Maduro. Peter Herbert, thank you so much for joining us here on TRT World and sharing that analysis with us.